day. This is the Go Cowboys talk show, as you know, and today I guess we'll be discussing the Cowboys off season so far. Now, before I begin, this will be my first show. I plan to do it every now and then. The off season, as you know, there's not as much happening. Once the season starts up, if it starts up with the lockout and everything, might be late. I'll be doing it much more often as there's much more going on. Now, first off, the Cowboys, let's review their last season. They were, a lot of people thought they were going to win the Super Bowl, or at least go to the Super Bowl. They thought that they'd be the first team ever to win a Super Bowl in their own stadium. Now, as you know, the season, it didn't exactly go so well. They go from supposed to winning the Super Bowl to 6-10. And a lot of people are like, how does that happen? And the Cowboys must not be a very good team. Well, they are a good team. They were just, last season, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with them. Plus, with the coaching problems, Wade Phillips, the supposed great coach, was in fact a horrible coach. And then they had to replace him with Jason Garrett. And as you should have noticed, once they got rid of Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett took over, well, they were a much better team. And they won way more games, and which means that they would lose fewer games, and that's what they did. And as far as the quarterback situation, Tony Romo got hurt, which, isn't good for the season. Last time Tony Romo got hurt, they had to put Brad Johnson in, and then he played for a couple weeks, and they ended up not going to the playoffs because Brad Johnson had lost most of his games. I believe he only won one of those games against the Buccaneers, and that was only by, a touchdown or something? That's not very good. John Kitna, though, he played the best he could. He was great. He did everything that he could to win. And he did win. I was actually kind of surprised. I thought it would be another Brad Johnson where he couldn't do anything, and it was a wasted season. Not a wasted season, well, this season was, but with Brad Johnson, that wasn't a wasted season, as they almost went to the playoffs. But, another problem with last season would be the Cowboys wide receiver, Roy Williams. Now, if there's any player that they need to get rid of, it starts with Roy Williams. He's horrible. That Thanksgiving Day game, he lost that for them because of that late fumble. In the Chicago game, he fumbled. That was week 2. He's messed up in all of these games. He's cost the Cowboys a lot of games. No matter how good he's supposed to be or how good he's across the slant or whatever, they need to get rid of him. Jerry Jones, get it together. Admit you made a mistake by getting him and get rid of him. You have Miles Austin, a Pro Bowl wide receiver. You have Des Bryant, who would have been maybe the Rookie of the Year if he hadn't got hurt last season. And plus, you've got Kevin Ogletree. I think no one knows who that guy is, and I'm not going to pretend like I know how good he is either. But he looks, when he plays in the preseason, he looks okay, So back to the off season. Now, first off, the Cowboys really haven't made any major changes yet. A lot of people are saying, oh, we should have, like Martellus Bennett, another guy you should get rid of. But he's saying, oh, we should have a quarterback competition between veteran John Kitna and then Tony Romo, who was injured because John Kitna did so good. Well, look, Martellus, John Kitna maybe he had just a lucky season last season. Maybe he'll play like that. But he's old. He only has 1 or 2 seasons left, probably. And those will be spent as a backup. Tony Romo is a young quarterback. I don't care what people say about him, how he's bad and all that. He's a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He hasn't won a whole lot of postseason games, but you know, that can change. And it's not always been his fault. Now, on to the draft. So, I'm not feeling so great about Cowboys draft, but obviously the best pick that they got was the first round pick, which is right tackle Tyron Smith, which will take the place of Mark Colombo. Now, replacing Mark Colombo is probably good because although Mark Colombo has some of his good plays and all that, he allows, not a lot, but some sacks, plus he commits a ton of penalties. He's getting old, they just need to get rid of him. Forget about it. It'll save you money, and plus you'll put in this young guy that will probably do better than Mark Colombo. Maybe not right away, but later on. One of their first priorities would be improving the offensive line. So that's good that they picked up Tyron Smith. Because the offensive line, if it wasn't for them or whatever, Tony Romo wouldn't have gotten hurt. No, it wasn't. I guess it was actually Chris Gronkowski, the fullback, but you know what I mean. Now, as for the other picks, you know, the thing about the Cowboys is I think that their strongest point, besides maybe running back, would be their linebacker core. They have a great linebacking core. They've got DeMarcus Ware, Anthony Spencer, Brady James, Keith Brooking, which will probably be out, but they have Sean Lee to replace him. Plus, backup Victor Butler, which seems like whenever he plays, he gets a sack, he gets a fumble, he does something. They need to find a way to put him in the defense. So remember that, Rob Ryan, or whatever your name is. So then they go into the draft, and I believe it was the second round. They pick a linebacker. Okay, why do you waste your second round pick on a linebacker? That's the last thing you need. You need someone like, you need a cornerback, you need a safety, maybe another offensive lineman. Why would you get a linebacker? You know, some people say, oh, well, let's get the best player, not necessarily the player that we need, but let's just get the best player out there. That's stupid. If you don't need him, don't get him. It's like if you have like 3 great quarterbacks and then you draft another one. Why would you don't need him. Unless you're planning to trade him to get another player that you need, don't draft him. And I know the Cowboys won't trade him because that's not what they do. Then they get a running back, which probably indicates that Marion Barber is out. But why would you waste your other than Cowboys? There's not really a 3-headed monster, as they call it. No team really uses 3 different running backs a lot. They use one. Some teams use just one. Have them all the time. Have a 3rd down back. Some split it, but not very often do teams do 3 different running backs. They need to give one of these running backs a chance and let them do what they do. As for the other picks, I believe they picked up a cornerback or a safety in one of the late rounds. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't watch college football. I don't know a lot about these college football players. I just go off what other people say about these college football players because I don't know much. But I know the Cowboys needs, and yeah, so that's all I know going into the draft. Now, what I do know about is our next thing, which is free agency. Now, the major player that the Cowboys look like they're looking at would be Nnamdi Asomugha, a Pro Bowl cornerback from the Raiders. Now, yeah, they need this player because they need to improve their secondary. They need to go out there, get a big-name cornerback, and majorly improve that secondary. Now, they need to keep Mike Jenkins. He wasn't so good last year, but I have a feeling that he was good the other years. I think hit a downslope. He had a bad year, but he'll be back next year. Now, Terrence Newman, again, one of those older guys. So either they're going to move him to safety like they've been talking about, or they just need to get rid of him altogether. He's okay. He hasn't had many interceptions. Maybe 1 or 2 that whole year, and before that, I don't even know, but it wasn't that many. And another player that I guess they're looking at would be a defensive lineman by the name of Colin Jenkins from the Green Bay Packers. I guess it might be a smart decision to pick him up. Their defensive line isn't exactly what you'd call strong, except for Jay Ratliff in the middle. Igor Olshinsky, he's kind of a quiet guy. You don't hear much out of him. So maybe he's productive. I don't know. But Marcus Spears, he wasn't all that he was. He hasn't lived up to what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be a great defensive lineman, and he's not exactly that. So yeah, I just think they need to get rid of Terrence Newman possibly. Possibly get rid of Marion Barber. I guess they'll have to if you can't have that many running backs. You need to get rid of Mark Colombo and some of those other guys. Leonard Davis is getting old. Kyle Kozar is getting old, as well as Montre Holland, who's a backup. He's getting old. And then some other players, Alan Ball definitely is out. And you need to get these younger guys to play. You need to get that Brian McCann. He had some great games last year, great plays. You get Victor Butler in. You need to get Sean Lee in, and these rookies that Tyron Smith. You gotta play them. Forget about these old guys. They're not gonna get you anywhere. You gotta build your team and play those young players. Well, I guess that concludes my show. Subscribe, please. Keep looking for new videos, and this has been the Go Cowboys Talk Show with your host, Tony Austin, signing out. Goodbye.